Welcome back to the Prez Podcast. I'm the Prez, and as always, my co host here today is Kian. So, today we're going to do something a little different. We're not going to do any power rankings this week. We're going to do a little game we're going to play that I like to call What We Got Right and What We Got Wrong based on our preseason NFL predictions. Now, I'd say we're about 2/3 of the way through the season, so we got a really good feeling for how the end of season awards are and how teams are going to fare. Obviously, a lot can change in the last few weeks, but we've got a good barometer on where things are going, and we're going to give you some of the things we got wrong and things we got right. Something we can also review after the season is over, and maybe a deeper dive into it after the Super Bowl. But for now, we thought it'd be a fun thing to discuss this week. Also, talk about Thursday night's matchup between the New England Patriots versus the Steelers. Let's get into that right now. When you schedule a game like this, you're thinking, back in the day, you were thinking Brady versus Roethlisberger, and now you've got Mac Jones. No, not even Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi versus Mitch Trubisky. How the mighty have fallen. Now, the Steelers still have a good chance to make the playoffs, and they should win this game. Patriots should not win this game. Should not try to win this game at all. They haven't picked in the top five since 1994. Haven't taken a quarterback in the top five since 1993 when they took Drew Bledsoe. So don't lose this spot. New England, lose this game like you should. Miss field goals, but I'm sure your defense will play well. This game will be very low scoring. Take the under, but I got the Steelers winning 17-9.
I also have the Steelers winning. I just on a team that could be a playoff team has a pretty good chance of it versus a team that might just want to lose to get a better chance at a higher pick, I guess. Um, I don't see how the Patriots could win this game, even if they tried. Still think the Steelers would just beat them. And I think they are the better team overall, so I think they're going to win.
Alrighty. Alright. Things I got wrong. I'm going to finish with things I got right so I can finish on a high note, but let's talk about the things I got wrong. I'm going to give you three. Keen will give you three based on our NFL preseason predictions. First thing, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I fell in the same trap a lot of us fell into when predicting, and that was Bijan Robinson. What a perfect fit for Bijan. He's going to go in Arthur Smith's run first heavy team. He's going to get the bulk of touches. They're going to use him in creative ways. We heard talk about receiver, and it's just been nothing but a letdown. Nothing but a letdown. There's been some crazy weird decisions and not putting him in the red zone, giving the ball to Tyson Algier. Don't get me wrong, Algier's had a great year last year. Tyler, thank you. Had a great year last year, and I understand using him and not wanting to overwork Bijan, but he's an amazing talent. Arthur Smith likes to draft top tier talent in the first round, like Drake London, like Kyle Pitts, and they don't use any of them the right way. Now you could argue maybe this has to do something with the quarterback, but I don't think so. They've tried Desmond Ritter, they've tried Tyler Heineke. It doesn't matter. It's still the same. Either way, he's not going to win it. We saw CJ coming. Next up, another thing I got wrong. Detroit Lions. Now, everybody was pretty high on the Lions going in. I thought, hold on just a second. I'm a little worried about them. I don't think that they're going to be quite as good as everybody expects. I think maybe they'll be a 500 team, and man, was I wrong. They are clearly on the path to win the NFC North. Now, they have had some hiccups the last few weeks. They had a good win against the Saints, but their defense is proving to be a little porous. They're going to have to, figure that out before the end of the season if they want to make a deep playoff run. But for sure, they're making the playoffs. They almost have it locked up. They almost have a top 3 seed locked up. So kudos to you, Lions. I was wrong about that. And the Fighting Dan Campbells. I'm happy for the city of Detroit. I hope things go well. And they've got a bright future there. The third thing I got wrong was another team that I thought would kind of surprise, and that was the Tennessee Titans. I thought, hey, I believe in Mike Vrabel as a head coach. Kind of really tough guy. Really runs his team well. and they have just been subpar. They do have a brighter future maybe with Will Levis. I think maybe they should have traded Derrick Henry when he still had higher value. They kept him around. Spears and young running back is going to be good. They obviously need some help on offensive line, but the key is they play good defense. And I think that Vrabel and with Will Levis with some more development, they'll be able to turn this thing around. Maybe they'll have a better team for what is turning out to be a pretty competitive division in the AFC South. So, be interesting to see how that division goes forward with a lot of young quarterbacks. But either way, I had the Titans possibly winning the division, and it looks like they're going to be picking the top 10. So, another thing I got wrong. Kian, what did you get wrong?
Okay, so first I want to talk about possibly the biggest thing I got wrong, and that is the Bengals being good. I had them in the AFC Championship. I had them in the Super Bowl. I had Joe Burrow winning MVP, Jamar Chase winning Offensive Player of the Year. But that just hasn't worked out. And I do think the Bengals have a lot of talent, but they've just had injuries and just lots of trouble in some places, and they haven't been able to make it work this year. Although I do feel like this isn't, I don't think they're going to be bad in the continued future. I do think if they can stay healthy and their O-line plays well, then they will still be a contender, but this just wasn't the year. Another thing I got wrong is few playoff picks. The Jets, I had them making the playoffs at the 7th seed in the wild card.
Yeah, but so did I. And you know what? You can't predict Aaron Rodgers. It's hard to give you fault for that one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really predict injuries. That just...
No. Same thing with Joe Burrow. You couldn't have predicted that.
Yeah. I did have them on the lower end, but still, I also had the Bills winning the AFC East, which is not happening. They have a lot of needs on this team, although they can play very well and they have a really good offense. They just haven't. They just have too many needs and they haven't played well enough, and they might not even make the playoffs at all.
Yeah.
Then, of course, I also had the Lions at 6 when they are most definitely going to win the NFC North, and they just have been very good. I was a little worried, but they have been playing well, and they have had some of the worries that I had thought they have had on their defense, but it just hasn't affected them as much as I thought it would. And then finally, I got the Offensive Rookie of the Year with Bijan Robinson wrong, which...
Like I said, everybody was all in on that. I wasn't the only one. Clearly, he was in on it too.
And yeah, the Falcons, they just haven't utilized him enough, and they haven't utilized him as much as they should be, and he is a great player, but he just has not been performing well enough. He hasn't been having he hasn't been having a spectacular year. I did also pick Brian Branch to be Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he is in the conversation, but he just isn't getting enough talk about him, even though he has been playing very well. So that is everything I got wrong.
Okay. Things I got right, or that I'm happy that I got right. I think it's just kind of ironic because I talked about Bijan that I was right about the Falcons being NFC South potential champs. What a horrible division that is, but they have the best chance to win it, and I do think they have a chance to be better in the coming years. I don't know if Arthur Smith is the answer. I do think they need to upgrade a quarterback, and I think that in the draft there's some guys that'll be late round picks, maybe a veteran, older guy like Penix or Bo Nix would be a good fit there, someone they could just plug in right away. You're not going to have to sit someone that's not going to be required to throw the ball 35 times a game just because of the way the offense is designed. But, I got Atlanta right. Again, crappy division, a little bit of reach. Number 2, and the second thing I got right, Miami Dolphins. I had them winning the whole thing. And right now, sitting on top of the AFC with the Baltimore Ravens. Good chance to get the 1 seed. So if they can get the 1 seed, get everybody coming to Miami and playing well down the red stretch. I've been hard on them all year for not winning the big games, but they do have 9 wins. They have a chance to wrap up the division before really soon, and get a couple home playoff games. And the 1 seed is not out of reach. So anything can happen if you're the 1 seed. If you're 1 seed, everybody has to come play in your stadium. Get a good chance to get to the Super Bowl. So second thing, Miami Dolphins. Third thing, Tyreek Hill, Offensive Player of the Year. 2,000 yards is within reach. I believe I talked about that he could have a 2,000-yard season, and I really think he will. Their matchups going down the season, he's got a tough one against the Jets. I know the Jets aren't what they used to be, but they can still guard, so they're going to make him work for those yards. If he stays healthy, if that 1 seed is within reach, he's probably going to play the rest of their games and have a really good chance to get to that 2,000 yards. But I do think already he's got Offensive Player of the Year wrapped up. And I do think MVP is an option. We don't have a quarterback that's clearly running away with it, so you never know. If they get the 1 seed, Tyreek hits 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, something like that. Who knows? If he gets to 20, crazy. So those are the things I got right so far. Could be more.
Okay. Something I got right is the Ravens being good. I had them in my AFC Championship, didn't have them going to the Super Bowl, although I do think that is definitely a possibility. They're just top team in the AFC, and they have been playing very well. Some people did say that their defense was a bit questionable, but the defense has been playing well, their offense has been playing well, and overall they've just been a great team. Another thing I got right was Defensive Rookie of the Year being Myles Garrett. I predicted him.
Not rookie, but player. Defensive player.
Defensive player. They're pretty close. They're pretty close. In the words.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
And he just has been he's been having a very good season, and he's probably projected. I think he will.
Either him or DaRon Bland.
Yeah, DaRon Bland is in the conversation, breaking multiple records. Breaking one record at least. But I do think Myles Garrett is probably the favorite. He's at least my favorite, and he has been having an insane season, and their Cleveland defense has been doing real good. And finally, another thing I got right is Coach of the Year.
I'm shaking
someone
my
in a conversation.
No, I'm shaking my head, not because I disagree with you. I agree with what you're saying. I'm shaking my head because I disagreed with you so staunchly before this season, and I was so wrong about it, and you were so right. DeMeco Ryans is clearly in the conversation for Coach of the Year, so don't take my head shaking as anything negative about what you're saying. I'm shaking my head at myself for being so wrong. Keep going.
Okay, so I predicted Coach of the Year to be DeMeco Ryans.
Phenomenal.
And he is definitely in the conversation because the Texans have just been playing so well, whatever expected. And if you look at last year's winner, Brian Daboll, he was a new head coach, like DeMeco Ryans, on a team that was expected to be bad, but was good. Quite good last year, like the Texans have been. I don't know if this will happen, even if they do make it to the playoffs. But because Dan Campbell is a favorite, the Lions do have had some issues. So I think Dan Campbell has a really good chance of winning. But DeMeco Ryans, that was probably, I think, my best pick of.
I think so. And as it stands right now, he is second favorite behind Dan Campbell to win Coach of the Year. So, really great job on that one. Really great pick. All right. Those are some of the things we got right and some of the things we got wrong. I think we will revisit our entire predictions at the end of the year, go over them, remind you what we did, and we can break them down individually for a longer postpartum video about the NFL season. But thanks for watching, and we'll be back with our picks for the rest of this week on Saturday. Take care.